Yeah, Doggo is the meme killer. Cashing out with your thriller. House party lights all flashing. Pop a bottle, no relaxing. Flexing in the VIP. Bitches kinda feeling free. Thug life, we wildin' out. Nothing but that money cloud. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drinking hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo flying. Got my crew, yeah, we're deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it high. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drinking hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it high. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO. In the streets, no time for lows. Drinking hand, it's a vibe. Haters watching, trying to snipe. We bring the heat, no denying. In the club, Doggo's flying. Got my crew, yeah, we deep. Stacking sats, no time for sleep. Bitches dancing, feel that fire. Doggo fam, we taking it higher. New York City, we own the night. The Doggo fam, we ready to fight. Meme lords, we taking over. Flip the script, we got the clover. All these hookers wanna front, but we grinding, never stunt. Doggo making big moves. In the game, we got the groove. So raise your glass, let's toast to the ones who do the most. Thug life, we living bold. Doggo worldwide, watch it unfold. Doggo, we ballin' worldwide. Me money, we can't hide. Poppin' tags like it's FOMO in this. So remember the name is clear. Doggo's here, bring the cheer. Me money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly. So remember the name, it's clear. Doggo's here, bring the cheer. Me money, house party high. We the kings, watch us fly.
Doggo. You know, I'm long on the Doggo. You know, I love the Doggo. I love the Doggo because it has all the liquidity locked. You guys know I talk about it every day because I like for you to have a nice way in, but I also like for you to have a nice way out. If you want out, okay. And I think this thing is going to go through the roof. I'll post how to get some a little bit lower. It's backed by Polka Gold, which is kind of the gold standard. It also is one of the assets, of course. They're sister ones. Polka Gold launched Doggo as their meme coin, and Polka Gold has Algorand locked. Algorand's not the normal central banker, guys. It's some Italian chain. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Very nice to see you. It's always a pleasure to be here. We are live on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana, as well as streaming around the world on X and LinkedIn and all these other ones. I thought that I had my Rumble feed fixed, but maybe I missed something. I kind of remembered, I think, what I did maybe as I was setting this up. But anyway, I'll have that fixed by tomorrow. I'll do the upload again a little bit later today. If it doesn't go live, I see it gives me a little error thing there, so I'm probably not live yet on it. But I did make the proper steps in order to get that. I couldn't figure out how to do the channel and how to do just my thing there. So anyway. Big day today. We have a lot going on, you know, at the heart of what we have going on here. And I get to do this show. And I get to talk about things that are important and try to bring sense to a crazy world. And this arrest of Pavel, and I know Steve Bannon's sitting in jail. And we have over 160 guys, J6ers sitting in jail, and it's travesty. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. I can't believe we've sat on our butt and done nothing. I mean, everyone's too scared to even come and protest. And this comes to the heart of what the problem is, though. And you know, I put together a couple of posts yesterday. And a post today, but speaking directly to you and to you, I mean, to you around the world, to all freedom-loving people, to all life. It's not even freedom-loving people, but it's life-loving people. And even in the title today, depending on where you're watching, you may see the whole title or not. It's Global Shifts in Political Plays, from Durov's Detainment to the U.S. Election Dynamics, the Impact Money Show. At stake is all of our information, our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, our dreams, and our secrets. Do we stand against tyranny or cede all control to a shadowy cartel that rules the world? And think about that statement for a moment, because it is profound. At stake right now is your right, your ability to keep your beliefs, to keep your ideas and your dreams yours, to keep them secret. They say that you're not allowed to have something like Telegram that the shadowy cartel that runs the world can't read, can't look at, can't know. You're not able to think about it. You're not able to have a real idea that they don't know about. You're not able to go and patent something without them knowing first. You're not able to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or anything. You are not allowed to have your own dreams that they don't know about. Any communication, they have to know about anything. And guys, this is like the battle of our time. It is part and parcel of what we have going on in this country, of course, with the elections and with the monetary revolution that we've been fighting for over a decade now. At stake, all our information. We saw Zuckerberg come out yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I went along and I went and, shilled for Biden and Harris or whatever and, blocked all those people or whatever he said. He's not sorry. He got caught. The attorney general from wherever the place is brought a case. He brought all the details up and he's caught. I'm sorry. He's not sorry. We are live on Instagram. So I put out another post yesterday. So that actually wasn't a post. That was the title of my thing. But what I put out a post here, and I'm just going to read the post because, again, this is profound, guys. This is like we are at a point in our history where we are ruled, and I talk about it all the time. We are ruled by a shadowy cartel. I call them the central banking cartel because that's the easy ones to identify and talk about. However you want to call them. We're ruled by a cartel, a shadowy group of international players who don't believe that you deserve any right whatsoever. In India now, they're looking. They want to ban this Telegram. They're going to try to ban Telegram all over the place. You're not allowed to have your own thoughts, to have your own beliefs. Let me just let's see here. Put this out yesterday. It's not. Here it is. This guy gets it. I said. Now this. Let's share my screen. I'll play this guy's little clip here because he gets it. And I talk about this being a debt slave and what it does to us. And I'm going to play him a very short clip, and then I'm going to play. I'm going to read what I said about it. Okay. Here, let me just switch my tabs here. A lot of tabs open this morning. I don't know who this is. I think it's Greg somebody. I suppose I should know who it is, but I don't. Let's see here. Share this tab. Okay. Back on screen. Listen to what this guy says. Listen to this.
The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the rich.
Hold on. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. Just to get you on key here.
The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. What happens to us is we go to school and they give us a free pizza, so we sign up for our first credit card. Can't go to college without a student loan because you can't be a student without a student loan. That's federal law. we sign up for that. And then we graduate from school, and now we've got the first big boy, big girl job, and we're tired of driving that old hoopty, so we get a car we really can't afford. And then people start saying, oh, you've been married 20 minutes and you haven't bought a house. What's wrong with you? Buy a house, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house. And then we have 27-year-old couples who have been out of school 5 years, who are now hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, plus their home, come to us, and they say, Dave, can you get me out? We do not borrow money for anything, ever, in any circumstances, ever. Yes, I'm weird. That idea is weird. I am well aware of that. And it is such a hard job to convince people who have been sold by 4 credit card companies $4 billion a year for decade after decade after decade. But see, if you don't have any payments at all, none. Think about it. Just breathe in. What if you didn't have, even, let's just pay off your house right now in your mind. Everything's gone. And you come in Monday morning, and the boss starts yelling and screaming and cussing at you. You just start walking off. You're like, where are you going? I don't have any payments.
Where are you going? I don't have any payments. Now, what I said about this and what I wrote about it, I expanded on this because this is actually what got us in all this trouble. This is how we became slaves. This is how we lost our country. Was under this debt slavery system. And I know it's weird because everybody's so used to it. Everybody's just so used to being a slave. They don't get it. I never really had a job. So for me, it's different. But I grew up in a time, a lot of you grew up in the same time. Who was I behind, right? I was behind the blacks, and nothing against anybody, okay? But I was, as a white man, I was behind the blacks in line for let's go say I applied for a job, okay? I was behind the blacks. I was behind the Latinos. I was behind anybody else that was brown, the Indians and anything like that. I was behind the Jews. And I was behind the women. I was 6th in line to get a job. I could read between the lines. Dad was an army officer, you know. We had 6 kids in my family. So I went on to do, I wasn't upset about it. I just opened up my own companies, and that's what I did. I worked for myself. I didn't really hire anybody either. I wasn't interested in that. You know why? Because I didn't want to put up with the baloney. I didn't want to have to hire somebody because they were a woman or because they were different than me. I just wanted to work. I just wanted to be me. I just wanted to live. I didn't want to have to deal with that stuff. So what I said about this post, but so the point is that I was never part of the debt slavery system. I was never part of the slavery system. I never bought into that. I never did. And then when Bitcoin came around, I said, oh my God, here it is. This is it. So I'll put this up on my screen just so I guess I can read it while I'm, you can look at it while I'm reading it. But this is what I wrote with that video I just played. And then we're going to get to the markets. This guy gets it, I said. And again, this is on this video.
The rich rules over the poor.
All right. I got to stop.
The borrower is...
I said, this guy gets it. The debt slave system by the central banking cartel is why we lost our country. And this is very important history here. They never tell you this history. They promised, this is the central banking cartel or the shadowy cartel that rules the world right now. They promised Woodrow Wilson that they would give him whatever money he needed. And they pushed through his election. They funded his election. They pushed it through. God only knows what they did. Probably everything they do now, okay, to make sure they win elections. Woodrow Wilson delivered the goods. He gave them our country in 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act, and he pushed through that Federal Reserve Act on December 23rd in the dead of night in 1913. And then, they don't tell you about this, they even stole all of our family's gold in 1933. Roosevelt helped him do that by executive order. They gave our families 25 paper notes, $25 paper money per ounce, and they promised to give the gold back, but they never did. And now gold is $2,500 per ounce. Now, here's where we get into the real problem. The people can't speak the truth for fear of losing their job. They don't have time to protest or come to Washington, D.C. to represent their interests. There is nobody here representing the debt slaves. But if they lose their job, they can't make it the payments on the money lent to them, and they lose everything. Always living above their means, always beholden to the shadowy cartel, and God forbid they lose their retirement, their pensions. This is why, guys, this is why. And everybody says, well, the military and the police will stand with us. And I tell you, and I got nothing against those guys, okay? But I shake my head and I say, guys, you should not. I don't think so. Not in the current setup. We have to have some major changes. Always beholden to shadow. And God forbid they lose their retirement, their pension. This is why the police and military have not stood with the people yet. They don't want to help us overthrow the cartel and risk losing everything they've worked their whole lives for. And again, I don't blame anybody, okay? I mean, for the men, I think it's a bit different, but we're going to have to do something soon, I'll tell you that. You see, this once great country of the United States is in the same position as a whole. The country is a debt slave too. It cannot speak out to end the Fed, to stop the funding of the wars, to stop taxing the debt slaves. Because if they do, they will lose their job. And they won't be able to make the payments to the central banking cartel. And they will lose everything. What is the answer, you may ask? The answer is to stop sucking on the tit of the cartel. Stop it. Come together as Americans like our forefathers did. Close the Federal Reserve. Take the power back from the cartel and make America great again. And there's not much else other than that, my friends. There's not much else other than that that's going to work. I talk about it every morning. That's the cartel that owns the country. Thank you, Chuck. We're going to stop it, man. We are going to stop the cartel. We have no choice. We have no choice. All right, let's talk about the markets. I have my great friend, Matt Dixon. Matt Dixon is just returning back from Albania. So we are going to play his recorded thing. I'm going to tweet it as we go. And then we're going to wrap up after that. Let me add this to the screen here. These are the markets here, how things are going.
Morning, Bruce. Morning, Impact Money viewers. Great. It's a real pleasure to be with you again. I've been looking at the markets, especially in light of Toncoin, of course, just seeing what's happening overall in the bigger picture. Now, short to medium term, I would say certainly medium term, I'm still very, very positive about these markets. But I think it's important that we're also realistic when we look at markets. And if we see potential negatives, we need to report them. There's too much what I would call moon talk that goes around the markets. Everybody's always bullish, and anybody who speaks in a bearish way or a negative way at all is usually ridiculed. And I think that's completely wrong, because markets definitely go in both directions. We hope that the overall long-term trend is higher, but whatever we see, especially from a charting perspective, I think we should report it honestly. And that's what I'm trying to do today. So I've long had a kind of view that potentially we are storing up a lot of trouble in the financial system. And we've discussed that over and over again in the Impact Money Show, looking at the problems with money printing. Does that provide a long-term solution? And I have said that money printing, yes, it plasters over the cracks, it covers the immediate problems because it creates liquidity for the system. And this liquidity is used to support the economy, to support jobs, to basically make sure that there is money flowing in the economy and it flows into risk assets and everybody feels great for the time being. But again, as I've said, it's like having, running your family on a credit card. And when you run out of money, you just increase the credit card limit. And you can do that and still have money to live on for the time being and actually be reasonably comfortable. But at some point, there's everything is answerable. Basically, the debt has to be repaid. And you can't continue to increase and increase and increase that credit limit. I mean, you can do so for some time, but at some point, people lose confidence. Basically, the people you owe money to lose confidence that you're ever going to repay it because all you're ever doing is not repaying, but increasing the credit limit. And that is what's happening with the world economy, not just the US economy, that basically there's been more and more borrowing, money printing, these weird and wonderful schemes to create liquidity for the system, but it is just plastering over the cracks. It doesn't actually address the problem. Yes, we do know that the financial system, the monetary system is built on debt, but there comes a time, there needs to be balance in everything, that when debt actually becomes the main driving force to keep the economy moving, then it becomes a problem. We've seen a few signs already that the economies are beginning to show some signs of cracking. We've seen some ticking up in unemployment. We've seen inversion of the yield curve. We saw a temporary sell-off, basically the unwinding of the yen carry trade, which may continue again at some point. It will continue when the markets correct further. But for the time being, things are looking reasonably positive. But I want to focus, first of all, on the real long-term outlook. And this is my probably, when I say favored view, it's not the view I want to see, but it's the view I actually see in the markets and what I think is going to happen. Now, I can be wrong. Nobody can see the future. This is one alternative. This is one possibility for the future. And I might be wrong. There may be a bullish scenario, a very bullish long-term scenario. There may well be, but this is what I think is going to happen. So with Bitcoin, I'm going really right back to the start. We're not going back as far as 2009 because there's no real price action before then, unless you look at a logarithmic chart, which can bring that into focus. But looking at the chart, on a normal time frame, etc., from effectively zero, the price was effectively around zero, a couple of $100 further back here. So that's really where the price started from. We got a strong wave one up, which was up to that 2018 peak around 20,000. And then we got crypto winter, which took us down sharply from 20,000 down to 3,000 and something. So massive, seriously massive correction there from 20,000 to 3,000. Then we started moving up in impulsive 5 waves. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gave us the top of wave 3. So I'll probably put those waves in. This is a long-term time frame, and okay, that's fair enough. Probably put those in a little bit smaller, I think, just otherwise it all gets a bit too chocker. So anyway, got wave 1 there. Wave 2 down here, and wave 3. I think you can already see where I'm going to put wave 3. Wave 3 is here. And then again, you'll be able to see where I'm going to put wave 4. Important thing is here, wave 4 does not overlap into territory of wave 1, so it's valid. So wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course we finish with wave 5 to finish the impulse here. So we have basically up to what I've labeled here as a large A wave. A wave can be made up of 5 waves, perfectly valid. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you look at the internal Fibonacci measurements, it's really nice. So that would be an A wave, and that took us to the previous all-time high back in 2021. I think it's November 2021. We got that previous all-time high of 69,000, and that's really what we call the retail wave, where Bitcoin started from a perfectly and truly speculative asset, and it gained more and more adoption, became more of a mainstream asset. So from a completely new emerging asset, it became more mainstream because we got to 69,000, which was the retail phase of adoption. We got this massive correction to the FTX low. Obviously, when we had the FTX with Sam Bankman-Fried and all the fallout from that, it took crypto down to this 15,000-ish level. And then we've risen quite dramatically since then. So that was actually a 3-wave move down to here. So that's perfectly good and correct from an Elliott wave perspective. 5 waves up, 3 waves down. Now we then expect there to be 5 waves up from there. So a 5, a 3, and then you expect a 5. And that would make up a long-term, what's known as a zigzag correction, in fact. So that would tell me that there's a possibility that this can be an overall correction to the upside. In other words, we still have plenty of downside to come after the correction is complete. It could also be a 1, a 2, and we're working on a wave 3 to the upside. That would be extremely bullish. If it's a 1, a 2, and a 3, that would be extremely bullish. So this is the other scenario. And I know people will be saying in the back of their minds, oh, you're saying it can go either way. It can go higher or it can go lower. Well, that is always true. There is no certainty in the future. But what I'm telling you is that I'm still relying, even if I rely on the bearish scenario of the market coming down substantially from this peak, what I am telling you is that short to medium term, I still expect substantial highs. And my minimum target here would be 84,000 for Bitcoin. Bearing in mind today was 62,000, to move to 84,000, we're looking at still a good 30% upside. So whichever scenario I have in my head, even if I'm extremely bullish or this is actually extremely bearish long term, either way, I still expect substantial more upside to come. So the reason being, we had 5 waves up, 3 waves down. I expect there to be 5 waves to the upside now. Pretty well, no matter what, I expect 5 waves to the upside. And we have further confirmation of that when we actually look at the shorter time frames within this final 5-wave move up here. So being 5 waves, we have basically a wave 1 up somewhere around here, wave 2 down, then wave 3 up, wave 4 down, and we're going to wait, and we're actually beginning to work on a final 5th wave. So how am I sure that this is a wave 3? Well, first of all, it was a nice extension of wave 1. I'll just check. I don't know. I don't think there's actually a Fibonacci relationship there, but I will just check. There isn't always, but assuming wave 1 was to there, let's just measure the magnitude of that wave 1. Transpose to there. Okay, we went nicely beyond 2.6. In fact, we went almost precisely to 3 times, which is nice. That wave 3 went to exactly 3 times wave 1. So that's actually quite nice for me. It's not always Fibonacci. I mean, 3 times is actually a perfectly good. It's a nice precise number, multiple of wave 1. So that for me is a really nice wave 3. It's well extended. That's what you'd expect. Following it, you would expect a wave 4. The wave 4 should not overlap into wave 1, which it hasn't. So then let's go on to a shorter time frame just to look at this wave 4. So we've been on the weekly. So this is looking at the really long-term picture. We'll go now to the daily. Now, this is that wave 4 that I'm talking about here. And we already have completed that wave 4, I believe. And that itself is, we've mentioned this a number of times in the past, is in the form of an Elliott wave triangle. A triangle is an ABCDE formation, ABCDE formation. It tends to fall within trend lines. So these waves tend to fall within trend lines, with the only wave that's allowed outside the trend line is actually the wave E. And that's precisely what happened. And very often when you see a wave E, it's go beyond the trend line. It's often just a spike below, and the price doesn't remain in this time frame below the trend line. That's precisely what happened. This is a really nice looking triangle with a nice looking wave E extension there just beyond the trend line, but it doesn't remain there. It quickly just spikes below, tests below, and fails, and moves up dramatically. So I think in the long-term time scale that we're looking at, we've got a big A, big B, and the big C is made up of 5 waves. And the 5 waves are 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still have a 5th wave to the upside. Now remember, the 5th wave itself is made up of 5 waves. Now let me just move on here, what I'm expecting. So we've already had, and we'll move to a shorter time frame again, because what we do, we work on a longer time frame to see the big picture. And then we keep moving shorter and shorter time frame to try to focus where we are at this moment in time in the markets. So following that wave E, spike down wave E, we then should get 5 waves up to give us the 5th wave. So that was a red wave 4. We're looking for a red wave 5, which is made up of 5 waves in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we get a rule of alternation between wave 2 and wave 4. So if wave 2 is short, which it was relatively short here, we'd expect wave 4 to be a bit more drawn out before we then get the final 5th wave in blue higher to take us to the end point. Now, the time scales are not precise here. This is just approximate. Elliott wave tells you price targets, but not time targets. So, but I'd expect wave 4 to be more drawn out than the short wave 2 here. It'll be some kind of different wave formation than wave 2 was. There's various alternations between wave 2 and wave 4. So at the moment, as I say, we've completed wave 1 up and wave 2 down, I believe, and we're working on pushing up from there. So we'll move to the next shorter time frame from daily. We'll move down to 4 hour, and we can now see here's the end of that wave 4 triangle. And what we'll do, we'll just expand the chart out again so we can see more clearly again where we're at in a slightly shorter time frame. But what we will look at in the moment is other assets and see whether they agree with this, because you can be certain that all the assets will agree pretty much across the board with this big picture move. So here's the wave 1 that we had, and this is actually clearer on some of the other assets, but it's a wave 1. It is actually made up of 5 waves. Wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gave us wave 1. We got a very nice clear ABC or WXY down for wave 2, and then we're moving up. And I think we've probably completed a wave 1. It's not certain whether it's here, it could be here, but basically a wave 1. But we're moving up somehow within the 3rd wave in blue here. So it's going to be a much bigger, much more upside yet to come on this wave. So even though I might be bearish overall long term on the markets, shorter term, I'm still bullish. So I believe that whatever this is, it's a correction of some sort. We could even go a little bit lower, but it's a correction, I believe. So I think keeping in mind that we're expecting much higher, this was wave 4. And again, I'll just show you wave 4 here. We still expect the 5th wave higher, which will be made up of 5 waves in this blue. So we've got 1, 2, we're going to go much higher. And if you remember, my long-term target for Bitcoin is probably a minimum 84,000. Bearing in mind this previous all-time high, which was the top of the, just moving back again, the top of this triangle, where we started back here, was 73,000. So remember, we had the top of the retail phase was 69,000. Then we entered the institutional phase, and we've now got, of course, the ETF, both Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. But that was basically the beginning of the, pretty much the beginning of the institutional phase for adoption for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and hopefully many others to come. So with that, we've had the triangle wave 4 correction, and now we're pushing higher. So this is still the institutional phase, where we are gaining more and more institutional interest and adoption within cryptocurrency. So it may be that Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't the only ETFs we'll see. We may see others, maybe Solana, maybe XRP. Who knows what the next ones might be? But there may well be more. But even so, the fact that we've got institutional adoption now, certainly of Bitcoin to a large extent, and Ethereum now, I think this is going to be a positive driver for risk assets for the short to medium term. So I think that we're in this bullish phase still. So expecting more upside to come, and that's what we've been shouting about in Impact Money, that every pullback is basically an opportunity to add to your position, to buy the dips, dollar cost average, because we are expecting on all time frames, we're really expecting higher to come in the not too distant future. So I'm not concerned about this mini correction we had due to Toncoin. I think that will blow over, as I said, pretty well straight after. The correction is really more of a buying opportunity as far as I'm concerned. Even in Toncoin, I think it's a great buying opportunity. I don't think there's any major long-term implications there. So I'm positive there. And if you remember, that's right from long-term through to short, medium term, we're expecting higher. Just to look at those timeframes again, I'll just scroll out again to weekly. and see where we might expect a potential massive correction to come. Now, I did say this isn't necessarily accurate in terms of time frames, but there always does tend to be some sort of right look for an Elliott wave count. So if we're looking from this B wave for 5 waves higher, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this would not be an unreasonable look. And this would tell us that basically, perhaps the crash will come early 2025, maybe the spring of 2025. That's a reasonable expectation. It's not a promise, it's not a guarantee, but to have a reasonable look, we finished wave 4 here. We're expecting wave 5 to have a reasonable look within this cycle here, this 5-wave cycle from B to the end of C, a 5-wave cycle in red here. I'm expecting maybe somewhere around the spring of 2025 would be the time for the correction. So that would mean that we're going to continue a bullish run through the election year, through this election year, maybe even through to early 2025. But I do think that maybe problems will come. And we've seen for the time being a resolution, basically an easing of the geopolitical pressures certainly in the Middle East. Maybe that will resume, maybe that will come back to haunt us in, sorry, I need to get rid of that. Maybe that will come back to haunt us in 2025. We hope not, but that's certainly a reasonable possibility. Sorry, excuse that, I'm just sharing that. So that was Bitcoin. Let's have a quick look at Ethereum. And Ethereum is, again, let's focus on the long-term picture first of all, because I want to base, so this is actually very similarly aligned to Bitcoin, but it's not the same. So we've actually had, I believe, with Ethereum, 5 waves to the upside and 3 waves down. Interestingly, if you measure this wave down here to the A, you transpose to the B, it gave us the precise bottom of Ethereum here. So months in advance, we could actually predict where the bottom was at $800 and something for Ethereum. Bearing in mind, it's now 2,000 and odd dollars, 2,600 and something, or 2,800, sorry, is it? Can't see from here, 2,600 and something. From 800, it's had a massive move up. So that projection down, we then expected bullish movement to the upside. That upside bullish movement, it could actually be, let's just see, it could be 1, 2, I don't know whether there's overlap there, there isn't. So it could be wave 1, 2, 3, 4. I may have this labeled wrong as WXY, etc. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to come to the upside. Whichever way it is, we're expecting upside. So a little bit like Bitcoin. There's still a little bit of uncertainty as to whether this is just a 1, 2, then another 1, 2, 3 to the upside. That will be massively bullish. My expectation at the moment is we've got 5 waves up, 3 waves down. My expectation is that we have 5 waves to the upside. So more likely, if I just move this over and just call that a wave 1, and this movement down to here would probably be a wave 2, and this movement up here, got labeled there, would be a wave 3. And you can see now how it's sort of looking so similar to Bitcoin, that basically got a wave 1. That's perfect, actually. Wave 1, 2, 3, 4. Wave 4 did not overlap into wave 1. That's perfect. So that's a wave 4 down. You can see it's actually an ABC wave 4 down, quite nice. And we expect upside. So this upside movement is likely to be quite aggressive. So I am bullish the markets this short to medium term. And we can look for clues as well. For example, where is RSI at the moment on the long term? We're on a monthly here. RSI is below halfway. There's lots of room for upside to come here. RSI can extend and become massively overbought in these green areas here, here, here. You can see all the previous peaks. You know, most of them RSI became overbought, like here, this top of this wave 3. That's very, very typical. And then we've got an ABC wave 4 down. RSI has come back into lower than mid territory. So there's lots of room for upside. So I do think we're going to get a massive push to the upside in the reasonably long-term time frame. And again here, if this is kind of to scale, looking reasonable, then again, I'm expecting a peak somewhere around, it's got March 25 here. So again, as I said, spring 2025 for me will be an area of decision. So for me, I do think that the storm clouds are gathering, but it's still actually fairly, it's still bright and sunny. So let's make hay while the sun shines. I think there's still more summer ahead of us. and we've got plenty more upside to come this year. So I'm bullish markets for this year, really, expecting plenty more upside. But I'm just saying the storm clouds are gathering, and I think we're looking at spring next year for the correction. But now is the time to make money on the upside, I think. So that's looking at Ethereum sort of long term, basically at 535, then a massive correction is what I'm probably expecting. We can just go shorter term. Again, we can see that wave 4 is a very nice, neat wave 4 here, corrective down, up to lower than the top of wave 3 there, then down again. That's a perfect ABC correction, or yeah, it could be WXY. It doesn't matter. It's a correction. It's a 3-wave correction of some sort. And then we're just tentatively looking towards upside soon. I suspect wave 4 is complete, and we've started moving up, and it may chop around a little bit in the early times, but we're going to get some nice impulsive movement to the upside. So this will probably mean there's a bit more clarity on the political situation in America. Markets hate uncertainty when they don't know what's going to happen. When they get some clarity either way, it actually gives the markets a bit of confidence that there's a bit of a clear way forward. So I think that things are beginning to look brighter for the rest of this year. The fact that we're going to see interest rates most probably reducing on September 18th in America is actually quite a positive thing. So again, short, medium term, I keep saying this, I'm positive. I think we've had a correction here and we're headed higher. But longer term, it's a different picture. So if we flip over just to some of the other markets, for example, SPX. SPX, as I said, we've got 3 waves down. I'm expecting this 5th wave higher. I've been expecting it for some time, and we did have this hidden bullish divergence, which came in after this ABC, gave us the signal for the upside, and this is clearly impulsive upside movement. Not like the ABC where it overlaps, but this is clearly impulsive. There's no real overlap. So I am expecting new all-time highs to come for S&P 500. It may be that we get a couple of new cycle highs. So this, can be, there can be a couple, we can move to an all-time high, we can get another pullback and another all-time high. But I think there's definitely some euphoria to come in these markets where things will be moving rapidly to the upside. Let's just see what comes out with the rest of the market. But I think it's looking really positive there. If we look at gold again, gold is still bullish. There's still plenty of money. Even gold, by the way, when the market eventually crashes, gold will also crash with the markets, because people are desperate for liquidity when markets crash. They pull money out of everything to repay debts, and that's why you get unwinding of the yen carry trade. Everybody borrowed money out of the yen. They've also borrowed money from the US dollar as well, in fact, but the yen is the big one, where interest rates have been so low for so long. People have borrowed where the interest rate is rock bottom, as it was in the yen. So that will need to be repaid when the markets eventually tumble. And that's why you'll see massive appreciation of the yen in times of trouble. But also gold as well. Money will flow out of gold as well. But for the time being, gold is still bullish. We still expect more upside, probably on this time frame. And actually, let's just do what we've done with the rest. Let's scroll out a little bit and look at the larger cycle. So the larger cycle is telling us that we have quite a lot higher to go, because we've got 1 in red, 2 down in red, then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We haven't even completed this scale. I'll just have to shrink that a little bit to show you. We haven't even completed this scale wave 3 in red yet. It's somewhere up here. And then we'll still have a wave 4 and a wave 5 to come to the upside. So gold still has plenty of upside ahead of it. So pullbacks will be the time to add to your position, I believe. Definitely gold should be a part of any portfolio anyway, any well-diversified portfolio. So I think there's plenty of upside still to come with gold. So across the board, we're looking at upside for most of the assets so far, if not all of them. So if you're expecting more upside, you'll probably expect there to be some downside for the dollar index. So I do think that we broke this support here. We've already broken to the downside. So I actually think there's probably more downside to come for the US dollar. So opposite to unwind of the carry trade, effectively, we are seeing there's a bit of a carry trade also in the dollar, not as much, but people still borrow in dollar to invest in risk assets. When things are going really well, they invest into those risk assets. But when things sell off, they need to repay the dollar, and the dollar strengthens. So as the dollar is weakening, that's usually a sign that the risk assets are increasing in value. So they're appreciating. So we've said that we expect Bitcoin, Ethereum, and we'll look at as well the S&P 500. We're looking for appreciation, so we'd expect further downside. So we did expect, and we signaled in advance, this support was going to be broken. It has been broken, and I think that we can see quite clearly. This is the monthly time frame here. I think we're going to finish on another red candle probably by the end of the month to further downside in the US dollar. And all the signs are there. The fact they're reducing interest rates, the economy is softening a little bit. We do expect there to be more downside for the US dollar, which is good for risk assets. So as we just move around the other assets, we will just look at Solana briefly. I don't know why Siri keeps listening to me. That's quite annoying.
She's always listening.
So Solana, again, we've got a very similar picture. We'll probably stick to the monthly there, just look at the long term on the monthly. It's not quite the same because Solana has not been in existence for a length of time, so we can't see the full chart really on Solana. But I do think that we're probably going to revisit this previous all-time high here of $259. And bear in mind, we're currently $157. So we've had, again, if I just scroll out a little bit, we've had this movement up here. We're having a correction down of some sort, and then an impulsive move to the upside. So is that correction down complete? Looks as though probably it is. So let's just go to a shorter time frame to see that. Here's the correction that we're looking at. We've had A, we've had some kind of B, and some kind of C wave down, completing here. That tells me that the correction in Solana is most likely complete. It's probably a wave 4 correction. It's probably precisely the same as Bitcoin, a wave 4 correction, A, B, and C to the downside. So it could be, this could be a WXY or an ABC. Again, it makes a little difference. They're both corrections. We've got all the divergences that signaled all the turns in this Solana market beautifully. So on a different time frame than this, but we have beautiful divergences which signaled exactly where we're going. So from the end of the C wave here, this was a wave 4. We basically had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, had an impulse up, and then we've had a correction down, WXY or ABC, whichever it is, correction down. I'll need to go to shorter time frame again to open this out, just so you can see exactly where we're at. That's much clearer. So you can see here we had regular bullish divergence, signal the movement up. We had a bit of hidden bearish divergence here. We can see the signal here. Hidden bearish divergence here, telling us a downside which came. I haven't looked for other divergences right now, but clearly I think that we've had a wave, an impulsive 5 waves up. We've had a corrective 3 waves down. This is looking very nicely like an impulsive 5 waves up. So again, 1, 2, working on wave 3. This is another little wave 4 here, ABC wave 4. We may have a bit lower to go with Solana to complete that wave 4, but it's corrective, I think. And then we still expect more upside to come. So a little bit frustrating. We get interruptions, which of course we have to have those interruptions for the waves to work out. So it's some kind of, from here, we've got a wave 1 up, 2 down, impulsive wave 3, ABC wave 4, then we'll get a wave 5 up. The wave 5 should be quite a nice wave 5, powerful impulsive wave 5 to the upside when it comes. So again, I would not want to be caught short with Solana. I'd actually, whenever we see dips, I'd be looking to buy those dips, add to my positions, because I'm expecting substantial more upside to come. Ultimately, I think to that 259, probably re-challenge the all-time high. So whilst Bitcoin will probably make new all-time highs at around 84,000 as a minimum, I think Solana may just revisit the previous all-time high at 259, I think it was. Still much, much higher than where we are now, very substantially higher. So lots of upside potentially to come, but this was expected, this bit of downside correction. We need to have these respites from the powerful move up. There's got to be some correction. There's got to be some profit taking. And also it allows doubt to come into the market. A lot of people are selling off, losing their positions, and the market makers love it because people sell their positions with these minor corrections in the scheme of things. and then the market moves up rapidly higher. So the market makers are collecting all of those assets at lower and lower prices as people sell off. And the more it moves down, the cheaper the price is, the more assets they'll collect at lower prices. And they tend to get the markets right. Retailers tend to get the markets wrong. And when the market's going down, retailers tend to sell off their positions. They panic, whereas the market makers can look at the long-term position. They know where retailers are positioned, and that's what they'll do. They'll be accumulating assets to push to the upside. So that's most of the markets there. We've just had a quick look at oil, where it is today. Yeah, bit of a pullback again. We've had a little impulsive move up, it seems, to the upside, correction down. So I think oil is probably maybe got a little bit higher to go here on this scale. Same as gold. I do think gold has still got higher to go, so they're quite highly correlated. So I'm certainly not bearish oil, and I'm not bearish gold. I think they've probably both still got higher to go. Oil is one of those funny ones. When there's a market crash, it depends what the reason for that crash is. But if it's geopolitical, if it were tensions in the Middle East, for example, we could see oil go through the roof, whereas we could see all risk assets plummeting. So oil is an odd one that can perform in a very, very different way to other assets. But for the time being, I think it's based purely on supply and demand, and there's no geopolitical issues. The economy is on a reasonably stable footing, and so oil is reasonably stable for the time being. No particular expectations there, apart from maybe I'd look at April, just see where we're priced next April, because as I say, when I say next April, spring, I told you I expect there to be potentially a massive correction. Now, don't hold that as an absolute certainty, but keep it in your mind. If we do see assets rally as I expect towards that springtime next year, it may be a time to look at least protecting positions. You might be a long-term bull, and you might be thinking I'm wrong here. But short term, I'm thinking markets higher. If markets go higher, you can still protect those positions that you should have been entering in. As I say, we should have been buying dips, and we should continue to buy dips, in my view, because I think the market's going a lot higher from where we are right now. I'll just probably finish on Toncoin. There's because it's just been in the news a little bit. I did say I expected basically a recovery from where we sold off. We could have had potentially from the top an A, a B, and a 5-wave C down here. Whereas the C wave, I'll just see if there's a Fibonacci relationship here. Not sure whether there will be, but we'll check anyway. So we'll measure what I have labeled as the A wave there. We'll transpose it to the B wave there. No particular extensions I can see there. There isn't always an extension, so not at all sure whether that correction is complete or not. It may be that we still have lower to go. You can still get, of course, occasional assets that basically take a path of their own. And so Toncoin may not follow the path of all the other assets. There may be further negativity, I don't know. So right now, whilst I think that it's still an opportunity to buy the dips with Toncoin, there's no certainty, which is why you diversify. You don't put all your assets, all your eggs in one basket. Don't be overexposed, because things can happen to individual assets. It was a complete surprise, really, the rest of Pavel Durov over the weekend. That was a complete surprise, something that could not be foreseen, as far as I'm aware anyway. And it caused a massive sell-off in Toncoin. So these things can happen with individual assets, which again is why everybody should be diversifying into a range of different assets. And again, not just crypto. They should be looking at equities. They should be looking at bonds. They should be looking at precious metals. And they should be looking, I believe, at crypto. And all these things should form a part of a well-diversified portfolio. So I think that's probably enough for today. I don't know how long I've been going on, but just to tell you that I do believe that the storm clouds are gathering. I just want to say that again, for next year, not for this year. So I think that, as I say, we should be making hay while the sun shines. And I think this year, there's still plenty more sunshine ahead of us in the crypto markets and the risk asset markets. So positive short term, potentially negative long term. Hope that helps. Hope it gives you a bit of food for thought anyway, because markets are never one way. Nobody has any certainty, but I'm just giving you one perspective, one possibility and we need to consider all possibilities when we're taking our positions in the market. So again, hope that was interesting and helpful. Look forward to catching up tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.
Great, Matt Dixon with his AI ratings platform, Eve. Wonderful guy, good friend of mine. We've done a lot of things together now. So I have to, I got to go. I got to get the kids to school. I did want to talk. He finished on Ton Coin, of course, that Ton ecosystem. The Durov brothers, Ton Telegram founders. His little brother is the founder of Ton, Pavel's brother Nikolai, and his younger brother. And they are part and parcel of the monetary revolution. And there's a lot of these different tokens that are on Ton, and this is going to play out in the next little bit. And I talked about it a little bit on the show earlier, and I do have to run, so I can't expand on it too much more. But this is the battle of our time, and it's the battle for your thoughts. It's the battle for your dreams. It's a battle for your very beliefs that you deserve to own your own stuff, that you deserve to own your own thoughts, that you deserve that. And the shadowy cartel believes and is enforcing that you aren't allowed to have your own thoughts. You're not allowed to come up with your own idea and to keep it secret from them. They have to know. Let's think you invent something and you're not allowed to share it with another person and talk about it without them knowing about it. It is the very heart and soul of all freedom-loving people. Watch my thing a little bit earlier. It was around 10 minutes or so, or in the first part of the show. Okay, a lot of these coins that are built on Ton, like Dog or Flower. You know, I'm long on Dog or Flower. Looks like a really good spot right now to get involved on that one. Amazing community, guys. And what this stuff does when they arrest people like this, and everybody sees that they're arresting the freedom fighters of the world, the guys who are giving us a way to talk to each other. You know, the reason that Bitcoin went so big, and the reason I got involved in Bitcoin, is because they couldn't control it. They couldn't stop it. Now they have this messaging app that they can't control. They can't stop. They can't know everything on it, and they want to stop it. And it's part and parcel of the monetary revolution. So I'm a big supporter of Ton. I am a big supporter of the Durov brothers. Guys, we have to win. We have no choice. Our kids deserve it. Our kids deserve it. Okay. All right. I got to run. Speaking of kids, get the kids to the play. Nat, it was really great to see you this morning, man. Hopefully we'll see you some more. Cheers, guys.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.